Hello everybody, this is TechNolli, and today we're going to learn how to do OpenCore 0.5.9 on the new Comet Lake chipset. These are the 10th gen Intel chipsets that have just come out, motherboards and processors. Pretty exciting stuff because, as you all know, it's hard to get parts right now. It's crazy. I mean, every time I look to buy a board, I have to look everywhere. I have to look on Newegg. I have to look on, of course, Amazon. Sold out of everything, I swear. But they do have 10th gen. So this is a great option. Now, this is pretty easy, but let me show you something, guys. This is really important to know. I'm going to go over here to the OpenCore website. Okay, we'll go over here. Now, right now, as it stands right now, these geniuses over at the OpenCore on the Comet Lake, look here. This guide only supports Comet Lake on 10.15.5 or newer. So that means, guys, the latest version of Catalina. I even, just for the heck of it, I tried Mojave, can't get it to work. So make sure you have to have the latest version right now, because we're on Catalina 10.15.5, and you have to have that for this to work. So with that disclaimer out of the way, we can get started with this one. So guys, what we're going to do is just go over here to create the USB, and we're going to download the OpenCore package. Okay, if you click on here, you're going to see the latest version right here with all of these new updates. Very cool stuff. And you're just going to download the release version. I already have it on the desktop here, so I've got that. All right. Now, I want you to go ahead and download Mount EFI on my website. Okay, so you can mount your EFI partitions. And you're going to need Propertree, which you can download from my website. And on this particular build, because it's new, I'm going to provide to you the KEX that are needed for this. These SSDTs that are thanks to KCSJ on the Tony Mac 86 website. And this little program this little file right here, the hfsplus.efi, it does come from the OpenCore website, and you can download that right under here where it says Gathering Files. And there it is right there. Download that because we're going to need it, okay? OpenRuntime.efi will come in your OpenCore files. All right? Perfect. So, for right now, let's minimize this, and let's get started with building the EFI for this one, okay? Now, what we're going to need to do is go in here to the EFI folder, and then OC, and then drivers. And I want you because this is such a new motherboard, I just want you to go ahead and delete everything except runtime.efi. So I'm just getting rid of these, okay? All right. While we have this drivers open, I want you to grab HFS Plus and put it into the drivers folder. All right, so now we're done with drivers. Now KEX, right here, we need KEX. KEX, like I've said to you before, are kind of like drivers. They help to get things working like sound and graphics and USB ports and all kinds of cool things. So just grab all of those KEX that are in my folder and drag them into your EFI OC KEX folder. Okay? All right. So we're done with that. Now, ACPI. There are none in here now, and we're going to go ahead and grab these two that you've already downloaded from my website and put them in here. Now we have to build two more from the OpenCore website. So let's go back over to OpenCore, and we'll go over here to the Comet Lake, and we'll go right here to ACPI, and right under here we're going to see the two actually three SSDTs that we need for this build, okay? So I'm going to have you guys go ahead and build these with me. And we're going to use this little program, macOS, to actually build them, okay? Or actually what it's called is compile them. So we'll open that. We have to right click and open on that thing. And there it is. We'll go up here, File, New. And so we've got a new one right here. All right? So let me move this over. We can get rid of this one with all the text on it, okay? All right. So let's move that over here, move this over here. Now, we're going to go right here to this one, SSDT-plug, and we're going to select raw and just do a copy and paste it into Mackie, IASL. And then go File, Save As, and we're going to save it as SSDT-plug. And then I want to save it to the desktop. So I'm going to select the desktop right here. And then I'm going to change the file format to ACPI and save. Okay? All right, let's get rid of this. And we're going to grab the next one, which is right here. We'll go to raw. There we go. And we will select all and copy and paste it in here. And this one, we're going to save it as SSDT-EC-USBX and desktop and ACPI, machine language. Okay, save it to the desktop. We have one more, just a little guy, but so important right here, SSDT. Okay, AWAC. So we'll do a Control All and copy and paste it. Save as SSDT-AWAC. Save it to the desktop. Boom. We are done. We can close this little program out. We can start getting all these closed out so we can get going with the rest of it. Now here's those programs that I did, and here's another one. So I'll put these all together, and these are going to go in our OpenCore, EFI, OC, ACPI. So we need these, these three right here. Let's put them in here. Okay, now while you're right here, I want you to go back to right here where it says docs, and I want you to just copy sample.plist. So copy it, and then go back, go to EFI, OC, and paste it. Now let's rename this to what we need it to be, which is config.plist. All right. Now we're going to use this cool program right here, property, to edit our config.plist. Before I forget, let's go in here to this tools folder and delete all of these right here. Just move them to the trash. Okay. All right. So let's open property, right click, open, and right here we go. I'll get all this stuff set up for you guys so you can see what's going on. I'm going to put it over here, and then file, open. I'm going to go to my desktop where I have my OpenCore folder I'm working on, EFI, OC, config.plist, and open it up. So here it is in all of its glory. So let's remove these little warnings. Just clean it up a little bit. You don't have to, but I like to get rid of them. All right. Now, first thing we want to do, all of those programs or all of those files that we put into our EFI, which is the SSDTs, which are under here, the drivers and the kext, have to be related to the config.plist. So the config.plist needs to know where are these files, okay? So what we're going to do is, to do that, this has a built-in feature that's so awesome. we just go up to File, OC Snapshot, Desktop, OpenCore, EFI, OC, and click on Choose. And it just injected all of that stuff into here. Now, in order to turn on our SSDTs and clean things up, we're going to go back over here and do File, OC Clean Snapshot, and Choose, and everything looks wonderful now. All right? So we're done with ACPI, which is right here. So we can move on, and we want to check that right here, these quirks right here, they're all set to no or false. So no equals false, yes equals true over here. All right, so everything's fine here. So we'll just go down here to Booter, and Booter is right here. And we want to find these quirks. So let's scroll on down here. And what we want to do is just make sure everything here is the same over here. So we'll go down here, and the first two need to be yes. And these are, the second one here, this devirtualize MIMO, needs to be turned on right here, needs to be set to true, because we are working on a Z490 motherboard, okay? But the Z490 that we're working on right now does not need to have Protect UEFI services right here turned on. So we're okay to leave it false. Okay, so let's go down here. All these are no, and then we'll go to Enable Safe Mode Slide right here. Enable Safe Mode Slide, true. The next one is true. And then we'll come down here to Provide Custom Slide, and that needs to be true, and it is. And then Rebuild Apple Memory Map. It says to turn it on, but on this one, I turned it off, okay? And on Set Virtual Map, we want to turn that off on this particular build. And then down here, Sync Runtime Permissions needs to be true. Okay, let's move on down. So device properties, everything is fine the way it is. There's really no way at this point to get onboard graphics to work, the integrated, so I'm sure there will be soon, but right now it's not working. So we'll skip this part. Come down here to kernel. Here's kernel. And we just want to go down until we find Quirks again. All right, so we'll scroll, scroll, scroll. And here's Quirks. Okay. Now, these first two are related to CFG lock, which in a lot of BIOSes nowadays, there's no way to turn it off. So what we have to do is set these both to true so we can get around not being able to turn off CFG lock. I hope it makes sense. Okay, so we come down here to disable low mapper, and that's for VTD. You can turn off VTD on this board, but I still turn it on and I have good success. So true. Okay, let's move on down, 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 down. And we'll come out down here to Panic No Kex Dump, and we need to turn that on. And then Power Timeout, we need to turn that on. And our USB port limit right here, XHCI, needs to be turned on. Okay, let's keep moving. So we're in miscellaneous territory now, and we want to go to where it says debug. Okay, so we'll come down here. Here's debug, and just go ahead and enable Apple Debug and Apple Panic. And then right here where it says target, yeah, it needs to be 67. So 67 and enter. All right, everything else is fine until we get to security. And right here is security, and we need to turn on the first two for sure. Okay. And then everything else is fine until we get down to scan policy. That needs to be 0. and right here, secure needs to be changed to optional. So we'll change that. All right. Okay, now we're down to NV RAM. We're almost done, guys. So let's scroll on down. And we need to make sure that we put in these boot arguments right here, boot args. All right, so here's the beginning of them, but we have to add a couple more. So let's double click, put a space between each boot argument. We'll copy this one, paste it in here, and then we have another one, space bar, and we'll grab it, copy, and put it in here. But I want you to change that 1 to 11. All right? Now, if you're going to use a 5000 series graphics card, like a 5700 XT or a 5500, then you need to add this boot argument right here. All right? I'm going to go ahead and add it because that way, if you guys download my EFI folder for this build and you've got a 5000 series graphics card, you won't have to put that in, okay? So there we go. I put it in. We're good to go. Now right here is our preferred language. Right now it's set to Russian. So come right here and grab these characters, just copy them, and just paste them in here. Now we're in English. If you need another language, just click on Apple Keyboard Layouts right here, and it will take you to other languages. Okay, so let's move on down here. We want to make sure Write Flash is turned on or is yes. So right here is Write Flash, and it is true, so we're good. All right, platform info. Now this is where we talk about the kind of the Mac that we're emulating. And what we're emulating is an iMac 19,1, and it is set to that. So we don't have to change anything. This is your MLB is your board serial number. This is your system serial number, and this is a UUID that we will change at the end after we get everything installed at the end of the video. And I'll show you how to do that. It's pretty simple, because you will not get any iServices to work if you don't change serial numbers. Very, very important. If you log in without changing serial numbers, Apple will most likely blacklist your ID, and you'll have to call them. Okay, so let's move on down here. All of this is set up fine by default. UEFI, which we're into right here, UEFI. All of this is good by default. So we'll just come clear down here to the end where it talks about Quirks again, and we're just going to verify that this request boot var routing is set to true, and it is. So guys, we are good. We are done. Let's go up here, File, and Save, and let's get out of here. Now what we have to do is we have to put in our USB stick that we made. That's called a vanilla bootloader, and in the description up above right here, it's going to pop up on your screen. It shows you how to make a USB stick. Now, if you already know how to make a USB boot stick on a Mac, then it's a very simple process. But if you don't, and you don't have a Mac, I have two videos. I have one for Windows and one for an old Mac, because if you're on an older Mac, you cannot download the latest version of OS. So I've got two videos for doing that, okay? One on Windows and one on a Mac. All right, let's put in our USB stick. Okay, so there's my USB. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this program called Mount EFI. And we're going to right-click on mountefi.command and open it up. Now, I need to get to the EFI partition on my USB stick. There's a hidden partition that we can't see right now. And to do that, I'm going to press number 2 over here. That's my install macOS Catalina, install macOS Catalina. Hit enter, put in your password. All right, now I have that EFI hidden partition. So I can go out of here. And I need now my finished EFI folder on this stick. So I'm going to drag it and drop it into there. Okay, and now I am ready to go into the BIOS, make all the changes in there so we can start loading the OS on this. So let's get into the BIOS on this one. It's a little tricky, but nothing we can't handle. And we'll see you when we get over there. Okay, guys, so start tapping that delete key to get into the BIOS. Okay. Now, it's always a good idea to update to the latest BIOS version and then get started. So if you need to do that, you can check out Gigabyte's website on where to get the BIOS file and put it on a USB stick and flash your BIOS. So let's start over here with favorites. And I want you to go down to CSM support and disable it. And then right below that, VTD is also disabled. All right. Now, if we go over here to Tweaker, we want to choose your memory profile number 1. And that will set up the right speed of your RAM that you put in your computer. Okay, now let's go over to settings and we'll just go right to I/O ports and hit enter. And of course, we're using a graphics card. So we've got a graphics card in PCIe slot 1. And then all of this is just by default set up normal. We want to turn on above 4G decoding. Okay, and then we'll go down here to Thunderbolt. And we want to make sure it's enabled, of course. Then security needs to be set to no security. And then under here, discrete Thunderbolt, we want to enable force power. We want to make sure that's set to 200 milliseconds. And the filter is enabled and the clock is enabled. And then everything else, just as you see it here, and everything under here is by default. Okay. Now remember, if you're using an audio interface with this, you have to turn on the computer first, then immediately turn on your Thunderbolt device for it to see it when it boots up. Okay? All right, let's go out of here. And we'll go to USB configuration. Make sure they're all enabled. Network stack, of course, is disabled. NVMe and all of this stuff we don't even mess with. So let's go over to boot. And we want to make sure that fast boot is disabled. And we want to make sure Windows 10 features is set to Windows 10. And of course, our CSM support is disabled. So we can go over, save and exit setup, and say yes to our changes. And I'm going to start tapping the F12 key because I want to make sure that I'm booting from the USB stick and not some other hard drive I've got in here that's got stuff on it, because that'll just confuse us. Okay. There we go. Finally. It takes a minute to get past all that. I'm going to go down here to my SanDisk, which is my USB, and I'm going to hit enter. And a little menu is going to come up on the top left here, and you just use the arrow up and down keys to pick what you want to pick. So I'm going to pick install macOS Catalina external, which is my USB stick. We're going to go through a lot of text like we always do on these Hackintosh computers, and we'll come up to the next screen and format the hard drive. Okay, be right back. Now guys, if you ever wanted to know why in the world do I want to watch this guy install macOS on this computer, the reason that I do it is because I want to make sure that the stick I just made is going to work before I put it on my website for you guys to use, because maybe I didn't do something right and it's not going to work. So I want to make sure it works. I want to show you that it works, and then we know we're good to go. We'll go to Disk Utility, Continue. Now I've got an old drive here that I'm going to erase. So I'm going to select right here, this down arrow. You have to do this. Right here where it says View, select that down arrow and Show All Devices. And I am going to erase this Kingston right here and click Erase. You can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it Mac OS. Then I'm going to change the format to APFS all the way up here at the top and GUID partition map and click Erase. All right, we're done with that. Now we'll go out of here and install macOS, continue, continue, agree, and agree. And I'm going to choose the one I just named macOS, install. This will get down to about 2 minutes remaining and it'll reboot on its own. You definitely have to leave in your USB bootloader because we got to go to the next step. All right, we'll be right back. Okay guys, so 2 minutes remaining. It should reboot on its own right here. There it goes. Perfect. Okay, we'll wait for it to come up around again, and it should by default choose Mac OS installer, and it will continue the installation process. And there it did. So we'll let it go. And now we're booting from the hard drive, so it's going to go a lot faster than it already has. All right, coming up here to the Apple logo. Here we go. It's going to come up here, and it's going to take about 12 minutes of this process because that needs to go completely across the screen there, that line. And when it gets close to the end, we'll come back and we'll watch the next process. All right, be right back. Okay, guys, about a minute remaining, so it has just a little further to go. Then it's going to reboot. We're going to leave the stick in there, the USB stick, one more time until we can get up to the next screen. All right, that's what we want to see. One more reboot, guys. Hang in there. Now, when it comes up this time, it should default to whatever you named your hard drive when you formatted it, and mine did. It defaulted right to the Mac OS. And guys, this will get stuck pretty good on a couple of lines, but just be patient with it. Let it come up. Okay, here we are. Let's get this finished. Pick your country. And then I just click continue. And then now I have the Fenby, the T919 installed. And you can see right here, of course, the internet is working beautifully. So I'm going to go ahead and sign into it with my Wi-Fi password. Okay, then just continue. I'm not going to transfer anything, so continue. Do not sign into your Apple ID yet. So set up later and skip. Because if you do sign in, you might blacklist your Apple ID. You don't want to do that. So agree and agree. And go ahead and give it a name. This is your login. And you need to put a password in. So we'll just put simple password for now. Click continue. And then I always select customize settings and I enable location services, continue, and I turn off analytics, okay? And continue. Continue. I don't want Siri. Continue. And I'm going to pick auto mode. All right. So now we just have a couple steps left to do. Very important. Continue. Go ahead and press the keys it wants you to press. And we're done. All right. So I'm connected to the internet, right? There's my Wi-Fi. And I want to go over here to the internet, and I'm going to go to the TechNolli website because we're going to download a couple of things. that we need. So let's go over here and go to EFI downloads. And then we're going to need Mount EFI. So we'll download that. Okay, allow. And then we'll go back. I need Gen SM BIOS to make serial numbers. Download that. And I'm going to grab proper tree. I'm going to show you guys how to do a couple things. Download that. Okay. If you remember, the USB stick has a hidden partition called EFI. And the hard drive now has the same setup. It has a hidden partition called EFI. So we're going to go here to our downloads, and I'm going to run this Mount EFI. Right click on mountefi.command and open, and then open, and say OK. And right here it sees our disks. So I want to select number 1, which is my USB stick, and put in my password. And then also I'm going to select number 5, which is my macOS. And I don't need to put our password in again. So I'll close out of here. Close out of here. I'm going to go up here to computer. And here is my EFI on my hard drive. And it's empty. Here's my bootloader EFI. And I want to drag that folder and put it right into there. So now I don't need this USB stick anymore. I'm done with it. But save it. You may need to reinstall one day and you want to have it. All right, let's go to Gen SM BIOS, right click open and open. And this is really simple, guys, to install our serial numbers and UUID numbers. So we'll select number 1 and hit enter, and then enter, and then number 2 and hit enter. And what it wants to know is, where is the config.plist? So we'll go back over here to the computer, and our EFI, our folder, our OC, and here's our config.plist. We just drag it into here, let go, and then press enter. Now it knows the path to our config.plist. Then we select number 3 and hit enter. And this is, if you remember, the system product name for this computer is iMac 19,1. Okay, hit enter, and it just generated all those numbers. Hit enter again, and we are done with that. Now these don't take effect until you reboot the computer, so you would not want to sign in to Apple yet, because if you go right here about this Mac, it's still showing that nothing serial number. Okay, so let's go back over to downloads again. And let's open up Proper Tree. Right click and open. And what we want to do is go ahead and open our config.plist on our EFI, which is down here, right here, EFI folder, OC, config.plist, open it up. Now, the reason I'm in here is because I want to show you guys how to turn off that text when it's booting. Okay, so let's just minimize these. So just click these arrows until we get down to NVRAM, and just double click on this line, and all I want you to do is get rid of the -V. Now that text will go away. All right, so everything else is good. Let's go back up to miscellaneous. And if you want the picker, the little window that comes up in the top left-hand corner, if you want it to be like almost disappeared when you boot, you just change this to 1 and hit enter. And now I'll show you what happens. So we click out of here and save it. We'll go ahead and reboot and show you what it looks like. Okay, here we go, and there it goes. So that was quick. And now it looks like a real Mac. How about a Mac Pro for $1,000? All right. So there we go. Let's log in here. So there you go, guys. we've got everything we need. Sound is working. Of course, the Wi-Fi is working. Here's Bluetooth. So everything on this thing is just great. All right. So now we've got a selection of, motherboards that we can choose from. If you need help with a build or you need anything like that, just go over to the TechNolli website and shoot us an email. So there we go. Okay, guys, got a lot of new ones coming out soon, and we'll see you on the next video.